so on, there are certain guidelines that we have been talking about. Of course, at one level, the RTSOI, which is the acronym for Responsible Tourism Society of India, works for with government on policy and works with industry on doing best practices. Now, where the overlap with your wonderful idea is that there are many parallels. And I think, as I'm speaking to a lot of fellow mountaineers and adventure people and so on, I think that idea of, the good old 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step couldn't be more valid in such a objective. And I think that's why when we started with mountaineering or trekking or the outdoors, I'm a product of the 70s and my school principal, who might be known to some of you, who was a mountaineer, a person called Hari Dang, initiated us into the outdoors. Our set of ethics and our set of approach to the outdoors was quite different. Now, when I saw in 1983 the Nanda Devi Sanctuary closing up because there was an impact by expeditioners, trekkers, they didn't realize the kind of impact they were making, it made us realize that honestly, if we don't take care of the outdoors, obviously, even from a pure business standpoint, it's not a valid sort of situation that you want to be building. But lo and behold, we are 40 years down in the tourism industry. We are 40 years down in the world of adventure and outdoors and so on. And I have to really sadly come to a conclusion that we haven't done as much as we should have as each person. So that today we've got issues of Himalayan architecture or polluted hillsides and therefore even the Ganga. Now, what is of interest is, which I had shared with Mike, that I will, in my response on the email, connect you with a remarkable expedition that we were involved with. And part of the thing, because of our involvement with the environment, this was a set of Americans actually who came and climbed a mountain. And the gentleman who, led the expedition, who's been to Everest 3, 4 times, but he essentially climbed a mountain in the Gangotri Valley, and then they went down towards Hardwar, and then from there they went all along the river up to the Bay of Bengal. And their sole purpose was to keep mapping the pollutant levels of the river Ganga as they went along. And the title of his film is called Holy Unholy, or Unholy Holy. And I will send that link to you. I think it'll be fantastic for you all to also connect with Jake Norton, because he's also got some data which I think will be valuable for you all as you proceed down the Ganga and collect that data, which will be very useful to compare. And I know that from memory, if I recollect, possibly Kanpur was the worst, because of the tanneries and so on. But what I want to bring a little focus here is that, about on the 27th of September, we launched something called the Responsible Traveler Campaign, in which it tells you some very simple guidelines that when you travel, what are the interesting things to look at which are accepted worldwide. And therefore, if you want to be doing anything responsibly, I thought I'll flag a few issues for you all. One is that even in your journey, I don't know if you'll be using any hotel accommodation, whether for yourselves or for your staff, but if you do, please ensure that the hotel or the guest house you choose must have a strong environmental policy. Give them a thumbs up. And therefore, we are trying to tell travelers that choose the guys who are doing the right stuff in terms of their, waste disposal, water, etc., etc. Now, if that is not your case, and you're obviously camping a lot along the river in different terrain, there are some very simple guidelines again. For example, if you are camping along the Ganga, normally it is said that in camping, you should move 30 meters away from any fresh water source. In this case, it is the Ganga, of course. So if you can manage to camp, if the terrain allows, you would voluntarily choose to be at least 30 meters away, because the idea is that once you are camping, nothing of your, even something like our ablutions in the morning, if you go to wash your face, the traditional thing always used to be that the river is flowing, wahan jaake muh haath dholo, you do your toothbrush over there, but that has all changed. You've got to take out the water, bring it 30 meters away, because the global accepted limit is that if 30 meters away, any of these chemicals, etc., they go down, they don't actually come and pollute that river or the water source. So that is something to take into account. Again, it just as a matter of communication, it's a good idea to use soap which is biodegradable and not chemical based. So in your communication, and I know you have a journalist, those would be wonderful things to say, just to make a point that how you want to travel with a light footprint, and therefore not increase anything that leads to the pollution of the Ganges. Um, I would say that the good old thing that we all know, the golden rule of the outdoors. I'm afraid we've got some disturbance again. Okay, so the golden rule of the outdoors, of course, is pack in, pack out. So whatever you manage to take along, you must ensure that not only the non-biodegradable, which you must get out, is actually disposed at a municipal dump, because this has become a huge problem in the outdoors, where the disposal of even biodegradable is actually not very scientifically done, because either it's not buried deep enough, or it is buried at certain areas where it doesn't biodegrade so well because of temperature. So we've got to be careful. If you have the ability, please make a communication that wherever you go, the golden ethic of the outdoor is pack in and pack out, as we many of us would know. Again, with the kind of, you'll be having toilet tents, you'll make holes in the ground for getting on with the toilet facility. Therefore, even there, we have been trying to promote this idea that if you're on a grassy surface, the idea is do not dig a hole with just like a rod or something. Take a proper pickaxe or something with a shovel, so that basically you do what is called dinner plating in ice climbing. You do dinner plating on a grassy surface. So you take a little pick and take out a dinner plate, take it out, take out the turf lid, then dig a hole, and after the job is done, the following day when you are moving camp, you put that turf lid back, because that will regenerate the grass. Therefore, the next person there will never know that you have actually camped. So it's again leaving a low footprint. Now, I think in terms of the other things that we want to talk about, you might be tempted to look at doing campfires. I would strongly urge you not to look at doing any campfire through any of your camping, because again, a personal example, I mean, we've never had campfires through our 40 years of commercial operation. And the idea was, earlier we all know that local people needed firewood, so why take it away from them, which they need to exist. But now, of course, we have the knowledge that this is contributing to carbon. So therefore, this would be something useful to look at. I would even go to the extent of suggesting that the entire trip, which is at the end of your 5,000 kilometer, 50,000, 5,000 kilometers, sorry, um, journey, that you actually calculate what is your carbon footprint, how many jeeps or buses or transport that you've used right from your homes till the time you've come back. And there are online carbon calculators, and what you can do is you can offset it by planting trees through a NGO, or doing solar or something, though those options are available. So you can actually say that your entire journey has been carbon neutral. And I think this would be a very significant communication, again, keeping in view that larger perspective of the environmental message that you are giving. Similarly, I would recommend very strongly that please do not even go near a mineral water bottle, a plastic mineral water bottle. If all of us, oh, if, oh, somebody needs to go on mute, I'm afraid. Okay, so if if all of us can carry just flasks, because this is another huge communication that has started about 2 years ago in the world of travel and tourism, that if you are traveling, just carry your own flask, a steel flask or a you know biodegradable plastic or whatever you have to use, because everywhere, if you're, of course, in camping it's different. You can still make a messaging of trying to get bottles which have filters inside, where you can actually take even the water from the Ganga, however polluted, and it will clear it. I mean, I can give Mike the details of companies like Grail and so on, that you can actually take barsat ka pani and it just clears it up for you. Again, might be a small expense here, but great communication. And please avoid using plastic at all, because that's another very strong messaging that we don't need to rely on disposal and all of that. um, I don't think you'll come into contact with any animal situation, but just in case, I'm putting a red flag here, because riding elephants, for example, is becoming a big no-no in the world of travel and tourism very soon, because the process of taming elephants is horrific. And so what we are saying is that tourism should not, and therefore later it will come to temples and so on. And this is just a very peripheral point, but I just thought I'll flag it over here. And then I thought it would be very interesting that if you could also, within your Clean Ganga thing, of the ethic of whoever travels along the Ganga in whatever way, whether they are pilgrims, whether they are people who are living along the Ganga, etc. If we could talk of some of these guidelines, and I'll send Mike the guidelines which have now been approved by the Ministry of Tourism, which have been approved by the Confederation of Indian Industry, and have the support of Wildlife SOS. And very soon we are likely to get the support of United Nations Environment Program. So the idea is that, each one of us can make a small difference. So it doesn't matter in whatever form or way. And if there are any tips that you can share along with people you interact or as you communicate, I think it'll be a wonderful thing to propagate, because ultimately it's all about being responsible to our planet. Um, then I had two other points which are slightly digressing from the idea of just the eco points, but I thought it would be very interesting locking down into the overall objectives of the Atulya Ganga. And that is, about 2 years ago, I was in the Antarctic. And when we were doing certain Zodiac rides, we were asked to photograph uh, whales in specific, or the seals and so on. And they said, please give us these photographs back into the ship. And we wondered why. And of course, there is this huge movement going around nowadays. It's called citizen science. So as a citizen, you contribute to the scientific data that is being collected. So if I took a photograph of a whale, just flipping down into the water there, they would match the tail of the whale. It's like tiger spotting, and you make a marking ki bhai, ye whale dikha yahan pe, what is the migration and all. Similarly, I would recommend that if some sort of a simple instrument could be given out to people who go along the Ganga, whether they are going trekking or whether they are going on the river, they could actually become your citizen scientists, and you give them this so that over the next 10 years, and this can be harnessed by the tourism industry, and Mike and I'm sure we can sit together and ask people who either run cruises on the boats or who do journeys, private journeys, etc., so that all of this data, if it is easy to collect, and it's not complicated with the instruments, they could probably feed it into a central person at your you know sort of expedition. The other thing, of course, is that, I mean, this again is slightly, yeah, it's connected to this, that you see, there is another movement in the world of tourism, and it's called voluntourism, where basically people come, whether Indians or foreigners, and they volunteer their time to do cleanup projects, or they volunteer their time to do educational projects, or and it's a significant amount of time. They can give you up to 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So within this journey, if you can later create modules where people can come in and actually work towards a cleanup or teaching the school children something somewhere, this voluntourism is something that you can actually harness very well, and a lot of travel companies might be able to generate that kind of clientele, if you might call it. And my last point that I want to make is that there is a slightly controversial part, but if you are, I think you're all bold enough, and it's probably sets into the objectives of the Ganga. Unfortunately, as we all know, there was a Nanda Devi controversy with when we planted the plutonium pack. Now, there's a lot of books being written recently and a lot of research being done. And quite curiously, my own daughter is doing an art project on Nanda Devi, uh, which is also looking at various things and effects of this plutonium. I would say that since you've got scientific knowledge and you can harness some of that, you might want to even consider looking at what might have been the effect of that lost plutonium pack into the glacier and therefore the rivers. And is there any contamination even now, so many years later? There is a theory that goes around that says there is. So maybe yours could also unearth this, environmental aspect of what is affecting the Ganga vis-a-vis the plutonium pack. But like I said, I know it could be slightly controversial, but if you keep environment as the main thing, I believe it's something that you might want to consider taking on. So I thought that those were the sort of few nuggets that I would share with you. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to, bat it right now. Otherwise, of course, from my heart, I would wish you all the very, very best. And I think it's a incredible endeavor. And these are just the, right things we need to do as people from the outdoors with the right spirit of adventure, fire the imagination. Because I just want to close on one personal example, that in 1989, I went to the Arctic with a schoolboy. He was the first Indian schoolboy to be taken to the Arctic on a environmental expedition. And some of you will remember that then we had the big problem of the ozone hole that was growing on the surface of the poles, and we were measuring it with the help of the American and the Canadian scientists at a weather station called Eureka at 80 degrees north. And we were based there for about a month. Now, what we learned, and we did snow sampling, and we saw the pollutants, the PCBs were there. It was all through the industrial waste that was being settled onto this snow. Through the PCB, the pollution, the PCBs were going into the seals, and the polar bear was eating the seal, the polar bear was being killed by the Inuit, the Indians, so therefore it had got into the human chain. So there was such a huge, problem globally. And we were saying that what are we expected as 20 students and 6 instructors supposed to do? And of course we made a lot of plans, and there was a lot of publicity, and different people did it. But the underlying thing was that if we have made the problem, then we must find the solution, and that each one of us can make a difference. So I think with that spirit, actually, I took a earth pledge then, in 1989, standing on that minus 40 Celsius. And I said, I will do everything I can in my private life and my business and wherever I can have a area of influence to make a difference. So I believe you all have that same spirit, and good luck. And it's been a privilege talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. And it's been such a privilege and an honor that you're here. And we want to set the right directions. And all the nuggets you've given to us, I think, will put us on the right direction. And we want to do all the right things. You can't do right thing to Ganga and wrong thing to others. So we have to set a very good example, and we really want to take the message forward. And